Hi, Coach. Robin Hearn from 5 News back here. Sorry, we're all the way back here. Just want to talk to you a little bit about what was those conversations like with the guys that you were able to flip within like the first 24 hours, specifically the in-state guys.
Yeah, Robin. If I'm trying to slow down my talking, but I've got that Southern stuff, and so I start mumbling. So I probably talked for about 20 hours straight to these guys, just text message talking and just talking all about it. But I think part of it, some of these guys I'd built relationships over time, over the years, just getting to know them, and then just selling them for the vision of what we're going to do and what we're all about. It started because they have a bunch of in-state pride. And that was one of the reasons that drew me to this job anyways. Like the guys that sit there and say, I want to be part of this program because this is home for me. And whether home's in Little Rock, this is still home for them. And so a lot of the guys are, man, I want to be a part of this. And then understanding what the passion is and what it's like and building something special, right? And like we talked about, it's not we're not going to be good 3 years from now. We're going to help be a part of this thing to get this thing flipped. And a lot of people have sensed that. And I think you got to see what it was like. And I look forward to actually, taking a deep breath, figure out what this thing is. But probably by February, I mean, we're going to start putting in the best recruiting class in program history for the 2027 class. And gosh darn, I mean, if I get a full 5 months to do so, that's going to be a heck of a deal.
Also, since coming from Memphis, have you been able to try any barbecue here?
No, I have not. Most of it's been eating peanuts and stuff I can find. There's not a whole lot of opportunity to explore. Someone said, how's Fayetteville? I said, it looks really beauuful at 12:30 at night and at 4 a.m. But other than that, I don't know. I had to open my window today just to see, wait, there is sunlight out here. But because a lot of it's been just a lot of meetings, phone calls, and conversations, which it's been a blessing because it's been so many great people. Last night getting on the golf cart to the basketball game, I was like, okay, good. I get to see a little bit more of campus and see some of this stuff. But no, I look forward, and if people ever know, and my wife will contest to this, unfortunately, my weight gain is going to increase pretty steadily over the next 4 months, and I hope it's with a ton of Arkansas barbecue. You got any suggestions?
Wright's is a big one here.
Perfect. I think I know what I'm having for dinner.
Yeah, it's more Texas style than Memphis style. Andrew just pointed out to me also that Houston Nutt had twin daughters, so maybe part of a requirement here.
It was. I don't know if the checkbox.
You've outlined a lot of things I think that are important qualities in a coach to be successful, but this might be a better question for Katie also. But a lot of coaches that are great have something that's kind of weird about them. Have some kind of idiosyncrasy or something. I was wondering what's weird about you.
How long do you have? I think the press conference. I mean, listen, to be a head football coach in college football, you've got to be wired a little bit differently. You have to be. When I got into this thing as a coach, like, oh, you're going to pay me $5,000 a year? Absolutely, let me do it. Like, you've got to be a little bit crazy to think like, I'll do whatever it takes to make this thing work. And the hours you put in, the sacrifice you put in, and you got to understand. I think what's happened, and she'll tell you, like, sometimes it's okay, Ryan. You don't have to be so truthful to everybody. And anybody that's got a wife, like sometimes you can be too honest. And she sometimes says it's okay to. Yeah, ours blunt. She tells me I'm very blunt. I've got plenty of things. I'm sure over time you guys are going to see, like, that's a little unique. Probably ask Bray Cook, who spent a bunch of time with me over the years. There's plenty of unique things about me, but that's makes me who I am. What you see is what you get. I think the players all saw it. Like a couple of them were going over like KJ's house and like, man, that dude is. Yeah, he's real, and I like that word because that means there's not a lot of fakeness, right? I'm genuine. I'm going to tell you what I think, and if I'm wearing socks from 20 years ago from Walmart, like so be it, with my new suit. It's part of who I am, and I think it's going to resonate because people are going to see the real me every single day, and I think the players are going to love it. I think people are going to understand, man, cool, he's one of us.
I always felt like with the transfer portal and NIL and stuff, it's beneficial for Arkansas if things can be embraced from a financial side of things because the state in the area doesn't produce just a whole lot, produce some good players, but per capita it doesn't. But I'm curious, and you could have a lot of turnover this year, obviously, with players hitting the transfer portal, and you experienced a lot of that last year at Memphis. But moving forward, what do you think is a good balance for Arkansas in terms of recruiting and adding players from the transfer portal each year.
Yeah, Trey, it's interesting. I think every year is going to have its differences. This would be probably the least amount of high school guys we ever signed. I didn't want to sign guys that I didn't actually have an understanding of who they were, right? Obviously, there was a handful of guys who were committed already, and we honored those. But then most of them I at least had an opportunity to get to know. And anybody I'm going to bring in our locker room, right, I'm bringing a part of our family, right? They're going to come over to the house. They're going to be joining the vets. I think that's as important. So we're going to do a great job recruiting. If I were to throw out a random number, anywhere from 20 to 30 high school kids every single year, and being able to develop them. And then, what is it? Like if we only need to fill 10 spots in the portal, and some of those may be a third string guy that I got to bring in the portal, right? Everybody always assumes you bring a guy in the portal, is he a starter? Well, if a redshirt freshman goes in the portal, he's not ready to play, but maybe in a year from now he can fit your scheme, then so be it. But it's finding that right balance. But we are always going to rely heavy on high school recruiting, and our job as coaches to develop those guys.
A lot of times when there's a new coach, there's some quarterback turnover. KJ obviously said he's coming back. I'm just curious, can you outline maybe like how big of a priority that was for you, and just what is it about him that made you come here and say, I want this guy to stay, instead of maybe going out and bringing your own guy in?
Well, I'd been able to watch, obviously, studied some Arkansas film prior to playing them, and I knew his background. And then really over the last course of a few days, just being able to, more than anything, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the film study speaks for itself, and he's got a unique skill set. He's very talented. Even as of this morning, we were actually watching film together, right? Going through some things and talking about it, like, hey, I know why this throw went to this way, and I certainly don't specialize myself as a quarterback guru. The last time I was a quarterback coach was 2005. But just talking through things with protections and just getting his, the understanding of the way he processes, right? The care, and you hear other teammates talk about what a leader he is and how much it means. And so that stuff is huge. And the success of a team, ultimately, quarterbacks get too much credit, quarterbacks get too much blame. But I think KJ's got a bright future.
Coach, you asked about your defense earlier. I'm curious about the offense. Kind of what do you envision X's and O's wise? Kind of what do you want on that side of the ball?
Yeah, listen, it's going to be similar to the same offense I've run the last 10 years. Like I said, again, credit to the players. We had wonderful players, but it's been really one of the most consistent, successful offense year in and year out. And part of that is turnover margin. Part of that is just having great players making plays. And that, to me, is huge, right? But when it's all said and done, we're not a tempo type team. Okay, we're not an air raid type team. Everybody's got a unique name for something, right? It's pro style. Do you have to huddle? Well, if we're not always going to be looking to the sideline for signals. 90% shotgun. Okay, we're going to not as much pistol as had been done here in the past, which was something I was even studying as of this morning, and just variations, right? But my job is to put the players in the best opportunity to succeed. So if it's out there being in more 11 personnel, if it's, if all of a sudden we got certain deals, and if we're short yards goal line, are we more of a 13 personnel? Is that 22? But it's my job and our job as coaches to develop the scheme based off of our players. I think you get so many coaches will sit there, well, he didn't fit my system. No, you're a bad coach. You need to change and adapt to what the players you have. So even as far as skill sets of a quarterback, what the receiver size is, speed on the field, what's your running back situation, your line situation, how much outside zone compared to inside zone. If you got a bunch of 355-pound O linemen, then how much duo are you running? So look, all that goes hand in hand. That's my job to figure that out. I'm excited to play the first game, but I think I got a little bit of time before I got to determine exactly what plays are going in.
And then going back to the high school recruiting, you announced 17 signees yesterday. You've got today and tomorrow in the early period and then the February period. Are you looking at adding any more high school guys, or does it shift to more portal?
Well, I think we got to see I think sometimes there's been some guys that hadn't signed yet. And if they fit with what we want to do, we're going to always do that. I think if we can add anybody that is going to add value to the locker room first and foremost, and then value to us on the field, we're going to explore it. And so to sit here, as we continue to look at the roster numbers, but as always with everything, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, Hunter, you mentioned at the start that when you run a tight search, it can create a lot of speculation. There's a notion out there that maybe this was a disorganized search. How would you characterize how it went?
From my perspective, it was very organized. It went from roughly 25 to 30 coaches down to 9, down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. I know because Kyle would come in and say, this name was floated out there yesterday, this name was floated out there. I will tell you that my staff didn't know who I had hired until Saturday night after the game when we got together. And that was the same way the entire search. And so I just feel like out of respect to the coaches, especially running a search during a season where coaches are coaching other teams, and I have the ultimate respect for what those young men in those other locker rooms are going through when their coaches interviewing for jobs. And the calendar we have right now in college football makes it incredibly, incredibly difficult to have that level of respect that I want to respect. And that's why I run a tight search. It's really out of respect for those coaches that I'm talking to because I don't want rumors to be floated out there. I'm not trying to get somebody else a raise. I'm not trying to hurt them and their program. I'm trying to acquire the best coach for the University of Arkansas. And so, again, no one knew on my athletic department staff until Saturday night after the Missouri game who we were hiring.
Speaking of Saturday night, I noticed on the term sheet you both signed it Saturday night. What was the timeline like Saturday when it was offered, agreed upon? How did that go?
Yeah, Ryan and I had been communicating last week. He had a game against Navy, and I wished him good luck. It didn't turn out the way he wanted it to. We communicated some on Friday. He wished me good luck heading into the Saturday game. We visited some during the game on Saturday. I stepped out of my box and at halftime and went and called him. And then we officially got everything wrapped up late Saturday night.